I'd put the question to you or viewers in any workplace. If you in your office knew that there was someone in the office who had serious allegations of sexual misconduct, including sex with a minor, and that person resigned from their office, would you be satisfied working in that workplace if they said, we're not going to continue this anymore? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what we know. That would be inexcusable in any other office. Um, it was appropriate remember, the ethics committee was prepared to release this information in July. Because of the recess, they then punted that into a few weeks ago. They then punted again. And they now, based on their vote yesterday, on a straight party line basis, the Republicans on committee deadlocked with the Democrats and voted to punt again. This information should come out. We will continue to push in our office to make sure it comes out because the allegations are serious and it is in the good of the House and it is in the good of making sure that the American people trust that the House holds itself to account, that we know what's in this report.
Your workplace analogy having been made, Congressman, I wonder if you're also concerned about Matt Gaetz serving in a different capacity in this White House, or maybe more so if he were to show up for the 119th Congress, to which he was elected, and actually take his seat back in January.
All those things are possibilities, and we can't predict the future. All we can do is to make sure that we make the right moral decision in the point we're in right now. And this one, to my mind, is fairly unambiguous.
Well, so as we consider the path forward here, we had understood the Ethics Committee was going to be meeting again on this matter on December 5th. The ranking Democratic member of that committee, Susan Wild, said so herself. There's been, Congressman, as I'm sure you're well aware, a lot of chatter in the last week about whether or not this is going to come out either way, through formal means or otherwise. Would it be your hope, if the Ethics Committee can't find a way forward and your vote, your privilege resolution can't force this to happen, that this would leak out? Or if the formal institutions of the House have made it not so, should it indeed remain a secret if that is what your colleagues decide?
Well, I think there's a series of questions there, and let's unpack each of them. The Ethics Committee report is done. Notwithstanding what Mr. Guest has said, remember that they were prepared to vote on this in July. There was no discussion that the report wasn't done. So the Ethics Committee can make all of this go away by simply releasing the report that they were prepared to release in July. If the Ethics Committee is unable to do their ethical responsibility, then we can use the privileged resolution that we've introduced to compel the House to vote on that, provided that we have the votes on the floor. And it is tragic in the moment that we're in that we have to wonder whether the Republicans in the House will vote to condemn someone who's been accused of sexual misconduct. This is the moment we're in, and that's unfortunate. The third part of that, if those things don't happen, should it leak? I'm not going to take a position on that. I think it would be better for us to use formal procedures, but we should keep in mind how we got to this point. There are multiple women, it's our understanding, who have come forth and testified anonymously to the Ethics Committee with the understanding that they were providing reports to an Ethics Committee that would keep this in confidence. That takes tremendous courage, right? All of those women are well aware of what happened to Christine Blasey Ford when she came out during the Kavanaugh hearings, which was, of course, only the most recent time in memory that Donald Trump sent a candidate with allegations of sexual misconduct to the Senate for confirmation. How much her life was upended by being public. And if this information leaks out in dribs and drabs from other people, it makes it very hard to make sure that we protect those women and respect them. And the right way to do this, again, the way we minimize that is by the Ethics Committee doing their job. That would be my hope. But we'll see what happens over the next few weeks.
We're spending time with Congressman Sean Casten. The Democrat is leading the charge here to force the public release of the Ethics Committee report into Matt Gaetz, who, if you're just joining us, has withdrawn his name from consideration, from nomination to be Attorney General. Does that withdrawal, Congressman, change the vote count to the extent that you had a sense of support for this resolution for when you come back from Thanksgiving? Does withdrawal of Matt Gaetz impact the outcome of your resolution?
I mean, obviously, this news has come so quickly. I've not had the time to talk with any of my Republican colleagues. I don't think it changes the calculus for any of my Democratic colleagues.
Did you have the votes before?
You know, there were certainly Republicans that I think one came out publicly. Derek Van Orden came out and said that he would support releasing the information. There are other privately who look. This is not betraying any confidences. There are a lot of Republicans who don't particularly care for Matt Gaetz. If this is purely about a personal question, I think that's an open question. I think it is. I think it's an easy question. I think the separate question of are there Republicans in the House who are prepared to take actions that would be oppositional to Donald Trump's desire, even if Donald Trump's desire is to nominate someone who is alleged to have committed sexual misconduct? Would they stand up to that? I don't know. But to the extent that there's a tension between those points, then one, I suppose, could speculate that it would be politically easier for Republicans in the House to vote based on their feelings for Matt Gaetz rather than based on their fear of Donald Trump.
Well, Congressman, we appreciate you joining us on this and look forward to seeing the outcome here of this privilege resolution as we deal with this one piece of breaking news. But we've gotten some other breaking news within the last hour as well. I would love you to weigh in on, as a member of the House Financial Services Committee, the chair of the SEC, Gary Gensler, has said now officially he will be resigning on January 20th. For many, this will not be surprising. Donald Trump had promised to fire him anyway, but considering your role on the Financial Services Committee, the idea that the SEC could be critical in these next 4 years in forming the path forward for industries, including the crypto industry, what is your hope here on who will be selected to replace him? What kind of person that will be?
So first, I just have tremendous respect for Chair Gensler. I think he's has certainly done a lot of work, as you all know, during his tenure, and I think has been a very loud advocate for investor protection. There is always a healthy tension, within the SEC between how far do you go towards investor protection and how far do you go towards maximizing access to capital markets. Everything you push in one direction hurts the other, and vice versa. I would like to see anybody at the SEC who understands that balance and who frankly skews more to the investor protection side, because I've always felt that, part of public service or any position of power is to make sure that you're advocating for the people who aren't in the room as much as you are for the people who are. And the work that Gensler has done to look out for the less sophisticated participants in our financial markets, I think has been important. We'll see what happens on the Trump side, but I do fear that this is not an administration that has shown nearly as much commitment to investor protection as I would like.